This is an Idaho hand pump instructional video. Some pump parts have changed, so use this video as a guide, but please refer to the written instructions for specifics.
If you're ready to start assembly and installation, you'll need to make sure you have adequate room to lay the pump out on the ground near your well. If you're assembling a long pump, it is okay to assemble in a loop or even a circle, but do not place undue stress on the PVC by bending it too tight of a curve. Start by separating the center drop sections.
The center drop sections are now bundled with stretch wrap and red caps on one end and cardboard with stretch wrap holding the other end.
The pump will be assembled starting from the bottom and working up, so next you'll need to locate the pump cylinder. It has a black cap on one end and a strainer at the other. Cover the strainer with duct tape or taped plastic wrap to keep debris out while assembling. Remember to remove it before inserting into the well. Remove the 6-inch long PVC extension piece on the cylinder by unthreading it. Do not throw it away. This part may be required later during assembly. This is done by first threading together the internal wire lift rods until snug. Use pliers or pump pliers to tighten the two pieces together, but don't apply too much force. Thread the PVC parts of the pump cylinder and the lower drop section together. Make sure you have applied the Teflon tape correctly as indicated earlier. Once the pieces are hand tight, take 2 pairs of pliers and snug them up as shown. There should be little or no threads visible when done correctly. The next section installed will be the center drop sections with the black caps on both ends. Remove the caps and apply Teflon tape to all the male ends. Thread the wire lift rods and pipes together as previously done. If you see small bends in the wire, you can straighten them by hand as you go. Repeat until all center drop sections are installed. Locate the upper drop section. It should be the only section left and has a red cap on bottom and black cap on the top. The wire lift rod in this section is much shorter than the PVC part of the same section, unlike previous sections where the lift rod and PVC were the same length. Remove the wire lift rod from the pipe and join it to the wire lift rod in the last center section, being careful not to bend the wire. Pull the wire lift rod towards the top of the pump out of the PVC until it stops. Lay the upper drop section PVC parallel to the lift rod where it will eventually be installed, but do not thread the PVC together yet. Check to see how much of the wire rod is extending past the top of the upper drop section of PVC. This measurement should be between 0 and 12 inches. If at least 4 inches of the wire rod are not extending past the top of the PVC, make sure that you've pulled the wire rod up until it's stopped, as stated earlier. If you've confirmed that the rod is topped out and you still don't have the wire rod extending at least 4 inches past the top, then you will need to attach the aluminum extension pieces to get the length you need. These are shipped in a small bag. The end goal is to have a minimum of 4 inches and a maximum of 8 inches of rod exposed when you are done with this step. If the wire rod is sticking out more than 8 inches, you will need to thread the PVC extender piece from step 2 onto the top with Teflon tape and remeasure the rod. If the wire rod is under 4 inches long at this point, add the 2-inch aluminum extender to get to the desired range. 6 to 7 inches of lift rod exposed is ideal. Apply Teflon tape to the PVC section, slide it over the wire lift rod, and screw it onto the last center drop section. Before removing your well cap, turn off the power supply to the pump. Then remove the well cap and inspect for possible obstructions. If you purchased a pre-drilled cap from our site, it's ready to go and you can skip this next step. Drill through the cap with a 3/4 inch bit. Thread the hole with a 1/2 inch pipe tap using either an impact wrench or standard wrench. Keep the tap as straight as possible, inspecting for straightness as you go and giving side pressure if it isn't going straight up and down. Lubricate the tap with WD-40 to help it go smoothly. Send the tap all the way through the cap. Locate the pump head. Slide the PVC handles and spout to remove them from the fiberglass rod and set them aside. Unscrew the 12-inch piece of PVC pipe from the pump head and set it aside. Unscrew the 4-inch metal nipple from the pump head. Notice that each set of threads are wide enough for 2 widths of Teflon tape. Only tape one end right now, and only 1 width wide, still using 5 wraps, on the threads near the center of the T. Screw it into the cap from the bottom side using a pipe wrench or vice grips until it won't turn anymore. You will have threads now sticking out the top of the cap. Wrap those threads with Teflon tape. Unscrew the top metal T from the pump head and slide the center T and nipple down off the fiberglass rod. Attach the loose T with the nipple pointing up to the threads coming out of the top of the cap. Make sure the discharge is facing the way you want the water to come out. Wrap tape around the threads of the 4-inch metal nipple on the bottom side of the cap. Screw the 1-foot PVC pipe that you removed in step 3 to the 4-inch nipple. Use a wrench or vice grips to hold onto the T and another wrench to tighten the PVC pipe, but don't over-tighten. Slide the fiberglass rod through the hole from the top of the cap. Join the pump head and wire rod from the center drop section by threading the fiberglass rod onto the exposed section of wire lift rod. Tighten as all other joints. Push down on the floating center section of the pump head till you're able to thread the 2 pieces of PVC together. Tape and tighten as all other PVC joints. Push the fiberglass handle all the way down until it contacts the stainless nipple. If you have a long pump and had to assemble in a circle, you may not be able to get the handle down. Don't worry about it. If you exert too much pressure, you could bend the wire. The handle will fall when it is installed. Now you're ready to install the pump in your well. Lay the pump head on the ground about 10 feet from your well. Tie the end of your pump to an extension stick, such as a broom handle about 4 feet long, to help insert it into the well. Fill a clean bucket with about 1 gallon warm water and a 1/4 cup bleach and put in a clean rag. Remove the duct tape or plastic wrap and insert the filter end into your casing. You want to avoid sharp bends in the PVC to prevent breakage, so you'll need at least 2 people. Person 1 needs to stay at the casing and feed in the pipe, wiping it down with a rag from the bleach water. The bleach may stain clothing if spilled, so wear work clothes. Person 2 should stand about 10 feet from the casing, pushing the pipes upward into a high arc. Aim for about 8 to 10 feet high, so that the pipe is coming straight down as it enters the casing. Don't raise it so high that the pipe flops around and risks breaking. If the pipe catches on an obstruction, you may need to shift the pipe up and down while rotating slightly back and forth to get through. Applying some pressure is okay. When person 2 gets to the pump head, lift it with an extension stick to keep it entering the casing straight. Lower until the cap is in place and secure your cap to the casing. Screw the PVC handles and spout into place. If you've tightened the top T with handles into place, unscrew it from the nipple. Then start to pump it up and down. Avoid banging the pump at the top and bottom of your stroke. You should feel it getting heavier after a few strokes as the water rises up the pipe. The water will rise about 2 to 3 feet per stroke, so it will take a lot of strokes on a deep well before water reaches the top. The water may look dirty because inserting the pump likely knocked rust and debris off the inside of your casing and into your water. Turn the power back on and run a hose from an outside faucet until the water appears clean. This may take quite some time. Fill a white bucket and check the bottom for rust. If any remains, continue running the hose and recheck periodically. Screw the handle assembly to the metal nipple when not in use.